Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. So here we are. Today we have a very short video to make some comments as regards the readings you're doing at the time. But this is included in the material and the concepts we are discussing in class 1. So let me share with you the screen. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So some comments about the road that led to civil war. Right. Today's big question is, in the struggle of king versus parliament, okay, when we say parliament, what do we mean? First of all, definitely not the House of Lords. The rivalry will be with the House of Commons. But we have to know very well which social group, which social economic group was represented in the House of Commons, and why have they become so powerful enough to be able to defy the royal power. So as you can see here, we're going to be talking about the political aspect. Remember, we always have this aspect in mind when we read. But today we're going to see how the economic and the social aspect influence the political one. And then also in this particular period of English history, the religious aspect is very important. So who are these guys in the House of Commons in the 17th century? Okay, first of all, what we have to keep in mind is that the social order of the 17th century comes and started to develop in the 16th century. You know that, as you studied last year, this is the development of the Tudor dynasty, right? And as you may remember, the Tudors had always had, well, not a very strong claim to the throne, so much so that they, Henry VII, got to the throne through a battle. And then, as the whole history of the Tudors tells us, in order to legitimize their power, they always had to, okay, have a male heir. You may remember Henry VIII's obsession with that. Well, this is because their claim was not completely strong. Remember, this comes from the War of the Roses. But how does this affect the society? Well, because when the Tudors had to lean on a certain sector of society, well, they were not going to do it up here with the nobility, because we know, or they knew from history, that the nobility had been the ones that were not to be trusted, right? Again, let me remind you of the War of the Roses. So that's why the Tudors had a friend in another sector, which was the gentry, this one that you have here below the nobility. These people were by no means poor. They were wealthy landowners, but not nobles. That is to say, the gentry was not part of the House of Lords, but they did own land. So during the 16th century, this is the group that will become more powerful, hand in hand with the Tudors, and for other reasons. And this is what I want you to please pay attention, because it shows that this is a process. Yes, that the process of how the House of Commons became more powerful has not just a religious aspect, but others. So during this period, yes, our periodization today is not so strict. It's between the 1500s and the 1600s. There is, as I was saying, a redistribution of wealth towards those in the middle. When we say middle, we're not middle class. Of course, we cannot talk about classes before the Industrial Revolution. But we can start talking about the middling sort, right? That is to say what I was saying, no, not the people at the very top, like the lords, right? But wealthy people. Now, let's analyze this group better. As we said, the gentry during Tudor times got more powerful. We know the why, and now the how. As you may remember, Henry VIII had, after the break with Rome, well, we know very well that the break was not only because he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn, possibly that was an excuse, but the idea was to get all the benefits that the church had, especially the land and the possessions that the church had in England, as in any other country of Europe. So what happens, as you may remember, as the dissolution of monasteries, this is remembered as, this is the name by which it is remembered, but we know, and this is very interesting, because a lot of the land that was, that belonged to the church passed on to the hands of the crown automatically, right? When Henry VIII created, let's say, the Church of England. But that land didn't stay in the hands of the crown. Yes, we are revising from last year now. That the land passed on to the gentry. It was sold at a very good price, but to the crown's friends, and we know who they are. That is why today, even today, I'm going to show you this picture, because of the access of land that all these guys had, we have nowadays lots of these big big houses in England, which are called Abbey. Yes, for example, if you watch the movie Downton Abbey, okay, this is because those lands used to belong to the church, but because of the Reformation and the dissolution of monasteries, that means the land passed on to the gentry, right? And these are even today very, very wealthy and influential families. So access to land, one process. And the other one is that during the 16th century, please, very important point, not only for this, but for the rest of our course, more merchants became part of the gentry. But why? Because trade became very important. Prosperity through trade is something that it's entrenched into the British identity, right? From the very beginning, we said that the British had always had this profile of businessmen. Yes, somebody called them a nation of shopkeepers. So it is the case, and this is something that we can trace from the very beginning. So these merchants that got very wealthy through trade, they will later buy their way into the gentry by acquiring land, right? So it was a way into, not to the nobility, not to the high nobility, but yes, to the gentry. And so that leads to this very important group that will lead, or will be, that will lead the fight against the king. Yet not all of them, but a very powerful group within parliament, because remember that to be a member of parliament, you have to own land. That's why I said that not any merchant could be an MP. This is for you to start thinking that this kind of revolution, this is not a revolution from of the working class or the poor or nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. In fact, Marxist historians portrayed this revolution as a bourgeoisie revolution. We're going to see that later. But for us to start thinking, so this is the social group I want you to remember. They are what they were known as gentlemen. Yes, now the word is also used for other purposes. But gentlemen at the time was that. This is the beginning of the word. Yes. They had strength because they owned land, because they were independent and intellectual, and they had time to spare, because they didn't work the land, of course, other people worked for the land for them, and they had a lot of influence. In many cases, they also held office, yeah? They were important also. Here, the typical country squire, yes, is the man of a high social standing who owns and lives on a big estate, and generally they are like the most important person in the county, and they serve as justice of the peace, sheriff, militia captain. You have some examples there. Then you can check what those offices mean. So it was an important man, not only from the economic, but also the social point of view in the country. That's the country squire. But as I said, many of these landed gentry were also merchants that had acquired land. So commerce, please remember this, is also very much represented in the House of Commons, those interests. Okay, so a little bit of revision. The social status, who had social status in the 17th century? I'm not talking about economic status, because as we said, wealthy traders also had status, economic, but not social. Having social status means that you are looked up to and respected in society. As today, even you may have a lot of money today, but you know, if you are one of those new rich, people don't respect you, you say, and you can think of examples nowadays. So to have social status is not only to have money, but also to have an important position in society. So here we have the peerage and the gentry. We have talked about them already. Do not confuse the gentry with the yeomen, who were farmers, but of a much lesser, of a level economically, not necessarily poor, no, but they worked the land, and as we said, the gentry didn't work, they made others work. Okay, we have all this that I've been reading from is part of a file that we are going to attach now in this post as well, that had been made by Aldana as well, so thank you, Aldana, for your help, where you have more information, and we've taken this this data, or this, let's say, discussion from Morgan, and you have there the pages. I know that this is a book that all of you have from last year. If you want to read more, the pages are there, and from another book called very good one, which is unfortunately not in PDF, but I liked it very much, which is A Social History of England by S.A. Briggs, yes, which is also in the references. Okay, the last aspect, as remember we said that we were going to see other aspects affecting political one, is the religious one. For this one, you're going to do something on your own, right? Because it's always, this is more dynamic if you do it yourself than if I just tell you. So attached to this post, you will find this, there is a set called Puritan Beliefs, so that you read a little bit about the Puritans. This is a group within the Church of England. Please be careful. Remember, the Church of England is the Anglican Church, the one that was created by Henry VIII, which is Protestant. But the Puritans are a different group. They are inside the church, but they are saying that the church, the Reformation was not enough. That the Church of England is getting too near Catholicism. That's why they want to purify the Church of England, and that's the reason why they are called the Puritans. But I really want you to read their beliefs, so that then you can, you're going to watch a little bit of a scene from the movie Cromwell, right? And you have some questions to think about, to connect what you read about the Puritans and the movie. Yes, we're going to discuss that in the Zoom class, because also this a lot of discussion and debate about the nature of this revolution is the fact that it was made by many in the name of God. Crumble is one of them. So that's the end. I really hope you have been able to make profit from this little talk. And we will be meeting one another next Monday. Yes, we are going to send you all the details about the exact time, etc. So, see you next time. Bye-bye.